What's going on, everybody? Chris here. I just wanted to let you guys know that I had a one-on-one interview with the man, Alex Cord. He was great, he's fantastic, and he's pretty polite and nice. We talked about Airwolf. He plays as Michael Briggs III, aka Archangel, in Airwolf, and it was fantastic and great. He's done Murder, She Wrote. He's also had lunch with Elvis Presley, which is awesome. We talked about his books. So I'm going to warn you guys that the audio is a little bit broken, and there are some parts of the audio that do fade out. So I did have to take out some things, and I left certain things in because it was pretty fun. So anyways, I did what I did, and I tried to fix the audio. So enjoy the interview, and thank you guys for watching. I'm Chris, and I'm here with Mr. Alex Cord. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing just fine. We actually got a little bit of rain here this morning in Texas, and we need it desperately. We've been in drought for a long time.
Oh, that's good. So, my questions are based around how did you first get into acting?
Well, I was in college, and I was studying English literature, and all of the pretty girls were in the dramatic arts department. So I started to take some of those courses. And before I knew it, I had developed a relationship with a young woman, who was an aspiring actress. And so I ended up taking more and more of those courses, and a professor, a lovely older woman named Fanny Bradshaw, taught a class in voice and diction, and she always worked with getting people up to read Shakespeare. And at that point, I didn't know anything about Shakespeare. I just knew that I didn't even know whether Hamlet had written Shakespeare or Shakespeare had written Hamlet. I just knew those two went together. And she got me so interested in Shakespeare that I began to study it seriously. And before I knew it, there was a production being done of a little play, and my girlfriend was going to be in the play, and she said, "There's a part in here, it's just got one line in it, and you'd be great for it. Would you like to do it?" I thought, why not? So I did, and at the end of that performance, I stood on stage with the rest of the cast while the audience applauded. And that applause, even though it certainly was not for me, it was like a drug to this is really cool.
Let's talk about books. What kind of I've seen your books, and I read a little bit about your books. How did you become a book writer and stuff? What gave you the motivation to write books?
Well, I didn't need any motivation, really. I've always been interested. Ever since I was a kid, I liked to read, and I always read good things that were challenging. I didn't read much trash. In fact, I didn't read any trash. And I always loved a challenge. So everything that I read all the classics, and very often more than once. And the great American writers, John Steinbeck, I've read every word he's ever written, and some of his books more than once, and a couple of them more than twice. And I actually got to meet John Steinbeck at one point in my life. So I've always written letters to people, and occasionally people would tell me, you know, I still have that letter you wrote me, that blah, blah, like that. So they were very complimentary. So it was from writing letters that I became convinced that when it comes to putting words on paper, I had a way with words.
Right.
And so then eventually I got to the point where I thought I would like to write a book. And my God, I sent it to one agent, one of my actors' agents. I was with the agency, and they had a literary department there. I asked her to read it. It was a scary thing because she read it, and mainly as an obligation to me, because at that point I was a valued client as her. And I know that she felt it was an obligation to read the book. She finished the book, called me back with huge enthusiasm, and she said, "Alex, this is really good. I'd like to send it to a friend of mine in New York who is an editor for Warner Books, which is a publishing company." She said, "So is that okay with you?" I said, "Sure." she sent it to this guy, Richard Fishoff was his name. And I thought, it'll be weeks, if ever, I hear back. Well, in about 10 days, she calls me back, and she said, this is enough. Richard Fishoff wants to publish your book. That's it. It was my first attempt at a novel. It went to one agent, went to one publisher, and it was published by Warner Books. That was how I started.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've been really successful with your book Feather in the Rain, and it's very, very good. I've actually read it.
Yeah, that's a good book. Yeah, that was inspired by that's basically a true story. I lost a young son, and I was inspired by that loss after a year of being paralyzed by it to write that book, and I felt that my son was standing over my shoulder all the time that I was doing it.
Absolutely. And you've been in acting so long, and how hard did you push yourself in acting when you got into acting and stuff?
Well, I've never been aggressive about pushing myself as an actor. I worked in the theater for 10 years, and that was a joy. I had one of the best careers ever. I did 3 plays in London, England, and was nominated by the London critics for the London Critics Award for Best Actor, and the nominees were Christopher Plummer in Beckett and Albert Finney in Luther. So, it just turned out that one job led to another. Once I got established in TV early on in New York, from that day on, I made a living as an actor. And I never had to really do anything else. I paid my way through college by working in construction. But it just happened. I've never, had I been more aggressive, I think I would have had a better, bigger career. The title will be From Being a Bricklayer to Playing Polo with Prince Charles. And that's the truth right there. Mm-hmm. I started as a bricklayer, and I did play polo with Prince Charles.
Oh, right, yeah. And I know you had lunch with Elvis, too, didn't you?
Yeah, right, yeah. It'll all be in memoir.
Right. But did you have a really good relationship with Elvis and stuff?
Well, I just had that one lunch with him, but it was great. He was super. He and his crew, had a gang of guys with him. All super nice guys, and they had all run my very first movie, which was called Synanon. It was about a drug rehabilitation center, and a really, really good movie, and I had the leading role in it. And Elvis and his guys had run the movie in Elvis's house, and they just loved it. And I was working at MGM on another film at the same time as Elvis was working on a different stage. And he sent over one of his guys. When a guy comes on the set, and I can't think of his name right now, but I know it. Anyway, I knew who he was. He was one of Elvis's guys. Introduced himself to me, and he said, we ran your movie Synanon the other night at Elvis's house. And he just loved that movie. He'd like to meet you and asked me to come over here and invite you to have lunch with him. And I said, when? He said, today, if that's okay. I said, that's okay.
So, Alex, since you played on Airwolf and you're known for Airwolf and you're known for being Archangel, Michael Briggs III, Archangel, can you tell us about a little bit about Airwolf? And did you get to keep the eye patch? And did you get to keep the white suit? How was it, on the set, wearing the suit?
The cane, they went back to the prop department, and the eye, it was an eye patch originally in the pilot. The patch was very disturbing to wear all the time because, first of all, it inhibits your depth perception. And they had, I think, 3 suits. And then there were times where I wore sweaters and slacks and stuff. And the wardrobe people were very good. After every take, if I was wearing the suit and had the jacket on, they'd come in and take the jacket off me and put it somewhere where it would stay clean until it was needed again. You know, in order to work as an actor, if you want to work in films or TV, you've got to be in California or New York.
Right.
And I've always wanted to have my own place, horses, and I love Texas. I've been coming here for a long time. I have a lot of friends. When I moved here, I had already been coming to Texas for 20 years to compete in these pro celebrity rodeos. So, I knew a lot. I felt like I was coming home, and so now occasionally I do something in the theater locally. Mainly just for the fun of it.
Right, right. Well,
but now I'm writing books, and what I'm doing right now at this very moment when you called is I'm writing a memoir. People have been after me for years to write an autobiography because I've led such an interesting life that, but I never felt motivated to do it until recently. I realized that I'm getting so old that if I want to tell this story, I should bloody well get on it and do it now while I can still breathe. So I'm actually more than halfway through a memoir. I have just finished. I'm looking at the computer screen right now, and it says 74,600 words.
Wow.
And, yeah, and that's how much I've already got written. So it's more than halfway into it, and I'm hoping that I can finish a draft of it by the end of the year.
I look forward to that and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be called, somebody else gave me a title for it, and I like it. He's a very wise professional guy, anchorman for Fox TV.
So, Alex, my question is that people that are trying to get into the industry for as far as acting or entertainment or show business, what can you pass on as far as your knowledge on what to do or how to do it?
The thing that is most important is you have to have the passion to want to do it, to the extent that if you tell everybody you know that you want to be an actor, and if every one of them says, "Are you joking, man? That's ridiculous," and you go ahead and do it anyway, then you have what it takes to succeed. And that's called passion. You have to have that passion. With that passion, all things are possible. Without passion, nothing can be accomplished.
Right. Well, I would like to say thank you for this interview and stuff. And everybody check out Alex Cord's books on Amazon. I will put down a link in the section below. And thank you, Alex.
You're very welcome, Chris. I enjoyed it, and I wish you all the luck in the world. And please do check out The Man Who Would Be God, and let me know what you think after you've read it. I'd be interested to hear what your opinion is.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, I'll see you.